My brother slept with my fiancée. Then my own family tried to force me to take her back. But my final decision left them in absolute shock, a shock they will never recover from. I never imagined I'd be writing this. Just 3 weeks ago, I was Evan, a 29-year-old man living what I thought was my dream life. I spent my days in a sunlit workshop behind our house, handcrafting custom guitars for musicians who craved instruments with soul. Every curve of wood, every perfectly placed fret, was a piece of me. Life felt complete. Until the day my entire world detonated in ways I could never have imagined. Let me paint you the picture of what my life looked like before everything went to hell. I'm a luthier. I handcraft guitars for musicians. Not the factory-made stuff you see at Guitar Center, but real instruments with soul. Each piece takes me weeks, sometimes months. My workshop sits in the converted garage behind the house Jennifer and I bought last year. The smell of cedar and rosewood. The satisfaction of watching wood transform into music. That was my sanctuary. Jennifer is a cartographer. She creates maps for government contracts and private companies. The irony isn't lost on me now that someone who literally maps out every detail for a living couldn't navigate the consequences of her choices. But back then, I loved how her analytical mind complemented my artistic side. She'd spend hours showing me topographical data while I shaped guitar necks. Both of us lost in our own worlds, but together. We'd been engaged for 2 years, together for 5. The wedding was set for next spring. My older brother, Derek, was supposed to be my best man. At 31, he'd made a name for himself as a drone cinematographer, shooting those sweeping aerial shots for documentaries and commercials. Growing up, Derek was always the golden child, 2 years older, always 2 steps ahead. While I was learning woodwork from our grandfather, Derek was winning awards for his film projects. While I was selling my first custom guitar, he was signing contracts with production companies. Our parents couldn't have been prouder of their boys. Dad, an optical engineer who designs lenses and sensors, always joked that Derek captured the world while I gave it a soundtrack. Mom, who'd retired early from teaching to become an urban beekeeper, yes, really, constantly went on about how we were her perfect hive, each with our role, all working together. The family dynamic was intense. Sunday dinners were mandatory. Mom would serve honey-glazed everything while Dad updated us on the family investment properties, 3 rental houses they'd acquired over the years that Derek and I would supposedly inherit. They had this whole vision of keeping everything in the family for generations. Looking back, there were signs I ignored. Jennifer started taking more site visits for her mapping projects, overnight trips to survey locations that seemed to pop up last minute. She'd come back exhausted but wired, like she'd had too much coffee. I figured it was work stress. Her company had landed a major contract with the State Parks Department. Derek began showing up at our place more often. He'd drop by to check out my latest build or grab a beer after a tough shoot. Jennifer would join us and they'd talk about visual perspectives, how maps and aerial footage told similar stories. I thought it was nice they were bonding. We were going to be family after all. There was this one night, maybe 2 months ago, when I was working late on a guitar commission by a jazz musician in Nashville. Derek had stopped by earlier, but I was deep in concentration, barely noticed when he left. Jennifer texted that she was having drinks with her team after work. Normal Thursday stuff, except when she came home, she showered immediately. Said someone spilled wine on her at the bar. Her story was detailed. Who was there, what they talked about, the annoying new project manager who wouldn't stop hitting on everyone. Too detailed, maybe. But why would I question it? My workshop became my escape without me realizing I needed one. I'd lose myself in the wood grain, the perfect curve of a soundboard, the precise fret placement. Jennifer would peek in sometimes, watch me work. "You're so focused," she'd say. "It's like the rest of the world doesn't exist." She was right. I wasn't paying attention to the world shifting around me. The bachelor party weekend should have been a red flag. Derek organized it. Just a few guys, cabin by the lake, fishing and drinking. Jennifer encouraged me to go, said she'd use the weekend to get ahead on her project deadlines. Derek seemed off that weekend, kept checking his phone, disappeared for long calls. "Work stuff," he said. The other guys joked he was whipped by some secret girlfriend. When I got back Sunday night, Jennifer was already asleep. The house was spotless, too spotless, like she'd deep cleaned everything. The sheets were fresh, windows open to air out the rooms. "I got bored," she said the next morning. "Needed to keep busy while you were gone." These memories feel different now, tainted by what I know. But 3 weeks ago, I was just a guy in love, building guitars and planning a future. Today was supposed to be ordinary. I've been working on a particularly challenging piece. A 12-string with custom inlays for a folk singer. The humidity wasn't cooperating, and the wood wasn't settling right. By noon, I decided to call it quits. Maybe surprise Jennifer with lunch from that Thai place she loved. I walked into our kitchen through the back door quietly in case she was on a work call. Her phone sat on the counter, screen up, unlocked. She must have just set it down. The screen hadn't even dimmed yet. A message notification popped up as I walked past. "Last night was incredible. I froze. My mind immediately went to her coworker Deborah or David from the surveying team. Had to be. Then another message appeared. Can't stop thinking about what you did with your tongue. My hand moved without thinking, reaching for the phone. My stomach dropped like I'd missed the last step going downstairs in the dark. The phone screen glowed up at me. Another message popped through. Jennifer, you awake? Can't wait for Saturday when he is at the workshop all day. Even me, my fingers trembled as I picked up her phone. Part of me screamed to put it down to pretend I'd never seen anything. The other part, the part that knew something was already broken, opened the message thread. The contact name was just D with a mountain emoji. Derek used that emoji for everything. His Instagram, his business cards, something about elevated perspectives or whatever BS tagline he used. I scrolled up. Tuesday. Missing your touch. Monday. That thing you do with your hands. F word. Sunday, house feels empty without you here. Each message was a punch to the gut. I kept scrolling. Weeks becoming months. The messages got more explicit as I went back. Photos. Nothing fully nude. But enough. Jennifer in lingerie I'd never seen. Derek shirtless in what looked like our bedroom. My legs gave out. I sat hard on the kitchen floor, back against the cabinets, still holding her phone. Then I found it. The timestamp that broke what was left of my denial. 3 months ago, my bachelor party weekend, a photo from Derek. A drunken selfie, him and Jennifer clearly in my bed. Our bed. The wooden headboard I'd made myself visible in the background. The timestamp. Saturday 2:47 a.m. While I was passed out in a cabin with my friends celebrating my upcoming marriage, my brother was in my bed with my fiancée. The workshop. All those times Derek visited my workshop. He wasn't checking out my guitars. He was making sure I was occupied. The late-night work calls during the bachelor weekend weren't work at all. I heard footsteps upstairs. Jennifer moving around, probably getting ready to come down for lunch. My body moved on autopilot. I forwarded the entire conversation thread to my email, then to a private cloud account I used for guitar blueprints. Screenshots of everything. Messages, photos, timestamps. My hands were steady now, methodical, like when I'm doing detail work on an inlay. I placed her phone back exactly where I'd found it and slipped out the back door. I sat in my workshop for 20 minutes, staring at nothing. Then I threw up in the utility sink. When Jennifer texted asking about lunch, I replied that I'd gotten caught up with the 12 string. Normal. Everything normal. That evening played out like a fever dream. Jennifer came into the workshop around 6:00, kissed my cheek, asked about dinner. I suggested pizza. We ate on the couch watching some documentary about ocean mapping she'd wanted to see. She curled into me like always, her hand on my chest. I wondered if she could feel my heart hammering. You okay? She asked at one point. You seem tense. Just stressed about the Morrison Commission. I lied, naming the 12-string client. He wants it done faster than I'm comfortable with. She rubbed my shoulder. You're too much of a perfectionist. But that's why your guitars are worth what people pay. The casual affection, the easy lies. How many times had she touched me like this after touching him? That night, she fell asleep quickly. I lay awake Googling on my phone with the brightness turned down. Prenuptial agreement, infidelity clause, California. How to document adultery. Asset protection before divorce. We had a prenup, Jennifer's idea. Actually, she'd insisted on it to protect her mapping software patents. I'd agreed because I wanted to protect the workshop and my guitar business. Neither of us had really read the infidelity clauses carefully. I had now. If I could prove adultery, she'd forfeit any claim to shared assets acquired during the relationship. The house was in both our names, but my business accounts, the workshop, my inheritance stake, all protected if I played this right. Wednesday, I called in sick to a guitar show I was supposed to attend. Instead, I drove 2 hours to meet with a lawyer in Fresno. Someone far enough away that word wouldn't get back. Paid cash for the consultation. Document everything, she told me. Keep acting normal. Don't confront until you have your assets secured. Thursday, I worked on the 12 string, but accomplished nothing. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Derek texted me about some new drone footage he'd captured of the coast. I responded with a thumbs up emoji. Thursday night, Jennifer worked late. Real or fake? Did it matter anymore? Friday morning. Today, I'd finally gotten my hands steady enough to work when my phone rang. Mom. Evan, honey, we need to have a family meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow, I have workshop time scheduled. This is important. Derek has something he needs to discuss with all of us. Something about the future. My blood went cold. What kind of something? He didn't say, but he sounded serious. Your father and I think, well, we think maybe he's finally going to settle down. Maybe he met someone special. The laugh that wanted to escape would have been hysteria. So, I swallowed it. What time? 2:00. And bring Jennifer. Of course, Halmeli. Not, this involves the whole family. Of course it does, I muttered. What was that? Nothing, Mom. We'll be there. I hung up and stared at my phone. Derek wanted a family meeting, the same Derek who'd been sleeping with my fiancée for months. The same Derek who had something important to discuss. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Hey, brother. You free to talk? Need to tell you something before tomorrow. I stared at Derek's text for 30 seconds before responding in the middle of a complex inlay. Tomorrow's better. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared. Finally, yeah. Tomorrow works. See you at Mom and Dad's. I put the phone down and got to work. Not on the guitar, on everything else. First, I called the lawyer back. I need to move faster than we discussed. Can you prepare transfer documents for my property shares today? That's aggressive timing. You sure you don't want to? I'm sure I'll pay the rush fee. While she worked on the paperwork, I drove to the bank. The accounts Jennifer and I shared had about $40,000 saved for the wedding and honeymoon. I couldn't empty them. That would raise alarms, but I could freeze them pending suspicious activity review. The manager, who knew me from years of business banking, didn't question it when I expressed concerns about some irregular transactions I'd noticed. Better safe than sorry, he agreed, placing a 7-day hold for investigation. My individual business account held another $60,000 from guitar sales. That money was mine, clear and simple, never commingled with Jennifer's finances. The prenup was crystal clear on that point. My inheritance stake was more complicated. Dad had put Derek and me on the deeds for the rental properties as minority partners, 25% each, with him and Mom holding the other 50%. The properties were worth about $2 million combined. My share couldn't be sold without family approval, but it could be transferred to an irrevocable trust. The paperwork was intricate, but by Friday afternoon, it was done. The transfer would be recorded Monday morning after the family meeting. That night, I made dinner while Jennifer packed for what she thought was a normal Saturday family gathering. Your mom texted me, she said, folding a sundress. She seems excited about something. Derek probably landed some huge contract, I said, stirring pasta sauce. You know how she gets. Jennifer went quiet for a moment. Then, Evan, you tell me if something was wrong, right? I turned from the stove. She was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. What makes you ask that? You've been distant all week, working late, barely talking. Are you worried about the Morrison guitar? The lie came smooth as silk. Yeah, actually the wood isn't responding like I expected. Might have to start over. Her shoulders relaxed. You're too hard on yourself. Your work is perfect. Perfect. Right. Saturday morning, I woke up with a plan. While Jennifer showered, I did something I'd never done before. I went through Derek's things. He kept a spare key under our fake rock. He'd helped us move in, knew our security setup. He also had a habit of leaving his laptop bag in my workshop when he visited, knowing it was safer than his car. The bag was in its usual spot, tucked behind my wood storage. His laptop was password protected, but the side pocket had receipts. So many receipts. Derek was meticulous about expenses. Had to be for tax write-offs. That's when I found them. Receipts from hotels, restaurants, charges to his company credit card. The one meant exclusively for business expenses. The dates lined up with Jennifer's overnight site visits. The Marriott in Monterey, 2 nights, $400. The same weekend, Jennifer was supposedly mapping coastal erosion. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, $300 dinner for 2. Charged as a client meeting on a Saturday night when Jennifer was allegedly at her sister's. My phone camera captured everything. Then I found the jackpot. A receipt for lingerie from agent provocateur. $800 charged to his business card as production wardrobe. The date, 2 weeks before my bachelor party. I'd seen that lingerie in their text messages. I put everything back exactly as I'd found it and went to make coffee. You're up early, Jennifer said, coming into the kitchen. Couldn't sleep. Might as well get some work done before we head to my parents'. She kissed my cheek. Her lips felt like a brand. Try to relax today. Okay, whatever Derek's announcement is, your parents will make it into a whole production. You know how they are. I knew exactly how they were. We drove separately. I claimed I might need to come back to the workshop if Morrison called. Really, I wanted my own exit strategy. The family home sprawled across 2 acres in the hills. Dad's pride and joy. The parking area was already full when we arrived. Not just Mom's Prius and Dad's Tesla, but 3 other cars. Aunt Penelope's Lexus, Uncle Howard's BMW, Cousin Stephanie's Range Rover. Why is everyone here? Jennifer asked, but her voice was off. Too high, too tight. No idea, I lied. Mom met us at the door, practically vibrating with energy. Oh, good, you're here. Everyone's in the living room. The living room had been rearranged. Chairs formed a rough circle, like some kind of intervention setup. Derek stood by the fireplace and for a second our eyes met. He looked away first. Dad was in his usual armchair already holding court with Uncle Howard about some investment opportunity. Aunt Penelope clutched her wine glass even though it was barely 2:00 in the afternoon. Cousin Stephanie typed on her phone, probably live tweeting whatever was about to happen. Sit. Sit. Mom ushered us to a love seat directly across from Derek. Jennifer's hand found mine. Her palm was sweating. So, Dad said, his voice filling the room the way it did when he ran board meetings. Derek has asked us all here because there's something important we need to discuss as a family. Derek cleared his throat. Yeah. So, this is harder than I thought it would be. My heart hammered against my ribs. Were they really going to confess here? Now? In front of everyone? Mom reached over and squeezed Derek's arm. It's okay, honey. We're all family here. Whatever it is, we'll handle it together. The thing is, Derek continued, his eyes darting between Jennifer and me. Some of you might already know what this is about. Jennifer's hand tightened on mine. Her nails dug into my palm. Aunt Penelope set down her wine glass. Oh my God, did you get someone pregnant? No, Derek said quickly. No, it's not. It's about Evan and Jennifer. The room went silent. Dad stood up slowly. I think it's time we addressed what's been going on in this family. My mind raced to process what was happening. They knew. They all knew. Wait, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. What exactly are we addressing? Mom stood up beside Dad. Her hands clasped in front of her like she was about to deliver a eulogy. Evan, sweetheart, we know this is difficult, but secrets are poison to a family. Secrets, I repeated, looking around the room. Uncle Howard wouldn't meet my eyes. Aunt Penelope was refilling her wine glass. Even Cousin Stephanie had put her phone down. Jennifer started crying. Not subtle tears, full body shaking sobs that came out of nowhere. I'm so sorry, she wailed. I never meant for it to happen this way. This way. Not that it happened at all. Just this way. Derek moved closer to the center of the room. Evan, brother, I need you to know that what happened between Jennifer and me. It wasn't planned. It just what? I asked. My voice ice cold. It just happened multiple times in my bed. Mom gasped. Evan, there's no need for that tone. We're here to heal, not to hurt. Heal, I said, laughing. The sound was bitter. Sharp. Is that what we're calling this? Dad raised his hand like he was calling a board meeting to order. Son, I understand you're upset. Any man would be. But we're talking about two people you love. Your brother and your future wife. Mistakes were made, but throwing away these relationships over physical indiscretion would be the real tragedy here. Physical indiscretion like they'd knocked over a vase, not destroyed my entire world. Aunt Penelope chimed in, her words slightly slurred. You know, Evan, lots of couples work through infidelity. My friend Barbara's husband had 3 affairs and they're stronger than ever now. 3 affairs? I asked. And that's your success story? Jennifer reached for my hand. I pulled away. Please, she said, her voice breaking. Just let me explain. You've been so distant lately. Always in the workshop, always focused on your guitars. I felt invisible. So, you slept with my brother. It wasn't like that. Derek interrupted. I was just trying to be there for her. You were gone all the time and she needed someone to talk to. One thing led to another. For 3 months? I asked. One thing led to another for 3 entire months. Mom made a wounded sound. 3 months. Derek, you told us it was only a few times. Derek's face flushed. Does the exact timeline really matter? The point is, we made a mistake and we want to make it right. I looked between Derek and Jennifer. You're a we now. No, Jennifer said quickly. No, that's not what he meant. Evan, I love you. Only you. What happened with Derek was it was just physical. It meant nothing. It meant nothing. I repeated. The lingerie he bought you meant nothing. The hotels meant nothing. The times you did it in the bed I built with my own hands meant nothing. Uncle Howard finally spoke up. Evan, you're looking at this emotionally. Let's think practically. You and Jennifer have built a life together. You have the house. The wedding planned. Shared finances. Derek's already agreed to step back completely. Why throw all that away? Step back? I laughed again. How generous of him. Cousin Stephanie surprised me by speaking. Honestly, Evan, I think you're being a bit dramatic. It's not like Jennifer left you for him. She's here, isn't she? She wants to work it out. And the family business matters too, Dad added, his CEO voice in full effect. The rental properties, the inheritance structure, it's all built on the assumption that you boys will carry it forward together. Do you really want to destroy that legacy over this? There it was. The real concern. Not my betrayal, not my pain, the family money. Besides, Mom said her beekeeper metaphor incoming. A hive survives by working together. One bee gets confused, loses its way, but the colony brings it back. We don't cast out family, Evan. We heal together. Is that what I am? I asked. The confused bee who needs to be brought back. You're twisting our words, Derek said, frustration creeping into his voice. We're trying to help you here. Help me? I stood up, unable to sit still anymore. You're trying to help me? Yes, Mom said, tears in her eyes. Now, we've been planning this for 2 weeks, trying to find the right way to bring everyone together to fix this before it destroys us all. 2 weeks? They'd known for 2 weeks and planned this ambush. Who told you? I asked quietly. Silence. Who told you? Jennifer looked at the floor. I did. I couldn't live with the guilt anymore. I told your mom everything. Not everything. I said. Did you tell her about the bachelor party weekend? Did you tell her about using my workshop schedule to plan your hookups? Did you tell her about the times you came home and kissed me right after being with him? Jennifer sobbed harder. Derek had the audacity to put his hand on her shoulder. Don't. I warned him. He pulled back. Dad stood up again, his patience clearly wearing thin. Enough, Evan. You have 2 choices here. You can forgive them and we can all move forward as a family. Or you can let your pride destroy everything we've built. But if you choose the second option, don't expect us to support you. The properties, the inheritance, the family backing for your little guitar business, it all goes away. Little guitar business. After all these years, that's how he saw my life's work. You're giving me an ultimatum? I asked. We're giving you a chance, Mom. To be the bigger person. To save this family. I looked around the room, every face watching me, waiting for me to break, to fold, to accept their version of reality where I was the villain if I didn't forgive. Jennifer stood up, moving toward me. Evan, please, I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever you need. Just don't throw us away. I'm not the one who threw us away, I said. But you're the one who can save us, she said, reaching for my face. I stepped back, pulling out my phone. Before you all continue, I said, my voice steady and cold. There's something you need to see. I connected my phone to Dad's smart TV, the same one he used for his investment presentations. The screen flickered to life. What are you doing? Mom asked, her voice uncertain now. Showing you the truth you seem to have missed, I said, navigating to my cloud storage. The first image filled the 75-inch screen, Derek's drunk selfie with Jennifer in my bed during my bachelor party. The timestamp glowed in the corner like an accusation. The room erupted. Jesus Christ, Uncle Howard muttered. Aunt Penelope's wine glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. That's not, Derek started, but his voice died as I swiped to the next image. Screenshots of their texts filled the screen. The explicit messages, the photos Jennifer had sent him, the detailed planning of their encounters around my workshop schedule. Turn it off, Jennifer screamed, covering her face. Please, Evan, turn it off. Why? I asked. This is what we're forgiving, right? Let's all see what we're healing from. I swiped again, hotel receipts appeared. The Marriott in Monterey. Charged to your company card. Derek. That's fraud. By the way. Derek's face went white. How did you? The lingerie receipt. I continued. The image now displayed for everyone to see. $800 for the underwear in those photos. Also charged as a business expense. Production wardrobe. You called it. You went through my things? Derek's shock turned to anger. Like, you went through my bed? I shot back. Dad stepped toward the TV, but I wasn't done. I pulled out a manila folder from my jacket. I'd hidden it there when we arrived. Speaking of business, I said, handing copies to everyone, these are the prenuptial agreement clauses Jennifer and I signed. Page 7, Section 3, Infidelity Clause. In the event of proven adultery, the cheating party forfeits all claims to shared assets. Jennifer grabbed the papers, her hand shaking as she read this. This can't be enforced. I didn't. I never really read. You insisted on the prenup. I reminded her to protect your patents. Remember? You had your lawyer review it. You signed it. But I didn't think. You didn't think you'd get caught. I finished. Mom was crying now. Mascara running down her cheeks. Evan, please. This is too much. You're destroying everything. I'm not done, I said, pulling out more documents. Derek, you might want to look at page 3. Derek snatched the papers from Aunt Penelope. His face went from white to green as he read. What is it? Dad demanded. Evidence of systematic expense fraud at his company, I said calmly. $47,000 in personal expenses charged as business costs over the past year. Hotels for his affair with my fiancée, dinners, gifts, even a weekend in Tahoe that he wrote off as location scouting. You son of a Derek lunged at me, but Uncle Howard held him back. I've already sent copies to your company's board of directors, I continued. They should be receiving them right about. I checked my watch now. Also sent them to the IRS just to be thorough. Derek's phone started buzzing frantically. He looked at the screen and collapsed into a chair. As for the family properties, I said, turning to my parents, my 25% share was transferred to an irrevocable trust yesterday. The paperwork will be recorded Monday morning. You can't touch it. Can't force me to sell. Can't use it as leverage anymore. Dad's face turned purple. You can't do that without family approval. Actually, I can. Minor partners have the right to protect their assets through trust transfers. You should have read the partnership agreement you drafted more carefully. The bank accounts, Jennifer whispered, realization dawning, that's why they're frozen. Pending investigation for suspicious activity. I confirmed. Should take about a week to sort out. By then, the divorce papers will be filed and you'll get exactly what the prenup says you deserve. Nothing. Cousin Stephanie had her phone out recording everything. I didn't stop her. Let her document this. You planned this? Mom said, her voice hollow. You've been planning this all week. You planned an intervention to force me to forgive them, I replied. I planned a response. This is vindictive. Aunt Penelope slurred. This is cruel. Cruel? I laughed. Cruel is sleeping with your brother's fiancée. Cruel is planning a family ambush to gaslight me into acceptance. Cruel is threatening to cut me off if I don't play along with your sick version of family values. I pulled out one final document, the one I'd been saving. What now? Derek asked, his voice broken. This is a donation confirmation, I said, holding it up. My entire inheritance, current value, and future proceeds has been donated to the Betrayal Trauma Recovery Foundation. They help people who've been destroyed by family infidelity and gaslighting. The silence was deafening. You donated. Dad couldn't finish the sentence. $500,000 with another $500,000 pledged from future property proceeds. It's done. Irrevocable. The lawyers confirmed it this morning. You gave away $1 million? Mom shrieked. Our family's money. My money. I corrected. And yes. Every penny. Jennifer stood up, her face streaked with tears and rage. You're insane. You're actually insane. You'd rather give money to strangers than forgive us. Yes, I said simply. That's when Dad lunged forward faster than I'd ever seen him move. His hands reached for my throat as Mom screamed. Uncle Howard caught Dad before his hands reached me, pulling him back with surprising strength for a man who spent most of his time behind a desk. Richard, stop. Howard shouted. You're proving his point. Dad struggled against Howard's grip, his face twisted with rage. He's destroying everything. My legacy, our family, your legacy, I said, straightening my jacket. Let me tell you about your legacy. I looked him dead in the eyes. I know about Carrie. The room went silent. Dad stopped struggling. Mom's face drained of all color. Who's Carrie? Derek asked, looking between our parents. Dad's assistant from 15 years ago, I said. The one who left suddenly for family reasons. The one you paid $70,000 in severance to. The one whose son looks remarkably like Derek. Aunt Penelope gasped. Uncle Howard released Dad, stepping back like he'd been burned. How? Dad's voice was barely a whisper. Mom told me, I said, watching my mother's face crumble. Not directly, but all those wine-fueled crying sessions when you were on business trips. I was 17, not deaf, I heard everything. You knew? Jennifer asked. Mom, her voice incredulous. You knew Richard cheated, and you still what? Mom turned on her vicious now. Still stayed? Still kept the family together? Yes. Because that's what families do. That's why I told you to keep it in the family if you were unhappy with Evan. Better Derek than some stranger. At least then you told her to sleep with Derek? I asked, my voice deadly quiet. Mom's hand flew to her mouth, realizing what she'd admitted. Not exactly. I just said if she had needs Evan wasn't meeting, it was better to keep things close where we could manage them. Manage them, I repeated. Like your hive. Cousin Stephanie had stopped recording, her phone hanging limp in her hand. This family is fucked up. You encouraged this? Derek asked. Mom, his voice cracking. You knew I was, and you encouraged it? I was trying to keep everyone together. Mom sobbed. That's all I've ever tried to do. By turning us into some sick joke? I asked. By encouraging my fiancée to cheat with my brother. Dad found his voice again, but all the fight had left it. Evan, whatever issues we have as a family, think about the consequences. Your brother's career is destroyed. Jennifer has nothing. The family properties are no longer my concern. I finished. And Derek's career, he destroyed that himself the moment he started committing fraud. Jennifer has her patents and her career. She'll survive. As for you, too. I looked at my parents. Really looked at them. Dad, the controlling patriarch who built his empire on lies. Mom, the enabler who turned dysfunction into an art form. You'll have to live with what you've created. A family built on betrayal, held together by threats and money. Good luck with that. Uncle Howard cleared his throat. For what it's worth, Evan, I didn't know about any of this. If I had, you'd have done nothing, I said. Just like you did nothing when Dad cheated. Just like everyone in this room does nothing except protect the family image. That's not fair. And Penelope started, isn't it? How many family secrets are we all carrying? How many affairs, frauds, And betrayals have we collectively ignored for the sake of Sunday dinners and inheritance money? No one answered. Derek's phone rang again. He looked at it. His face gray. It's my lawyer. The company is pressing charges. I need to leave, Jennifer said suddenly, standing up. I can't. She looked at me one last time. I really did love you, you know? In my way, your way wasn't enough, I said. She left without another word. I heard her car start. Drive away, the last sound of our life together. So, what now? Mom asked, her voice hollow. You've destroyed everything. Are you happy? No, I said honestly. But I'm free. I headed for the door. Where are you going? Dad called after me. Forward, I said without turning around. 3 months later, the workshop smelled like cedar and possibility. The Morrison 12-string was finally complete, and it was some of my best work. Funny how clear your vision becomes when you're not carrying everyone else's weight. The lawsuit against Derek made the news briefly. $60,000 in fraud, plus tax evasion. He took a plea deal, probation, and restitution. His reputation in the industry was ash. Last I heard, he was working at a camera rental shop in Bakersfield. Jennifer had moved back with her parents in Oregon. The divorce was finalized in record time. The prenup made it clean. She kept her patents and her car. I kept everything else. My parents tried calling for the first month. Then the letter started. Then silence. The family properties were in chaos without my shares accessible. They couldn't sell. Couldn't refinance. Dad's perfect legacy was frozen in legal limbo. You almost done? A voice called from the doorway. I looked up from the guitar strings I was adjusting. Solana stood there, sunlight catching her dark hair. She was a metalsmith who worked in the studio next door, creating intricate jewelry with the same attention to detail I gave my guitars. We'd met when she came to borrow wood glue and stayed to admire the 12-string. 5 more minutes, I said. The food truck won't wait, she warned, smiling. And you promised me those Korean tacos. Worth rushing perfection for, I agreed. She came closer, running her fingers along the guitar's body. It's beautiful. Morrison's lucky. It's not just for Morrison anymore, I said. I've been thinking about teaching. Real teaching, not just custom builds. Passing on what my grandfather taught me, but better without all the family baggage. I like that, she said. Building something new from something old. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, but the area code was familiar. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I'd listen to it. Aunt Penelope, drunk, saying the family fell apart after I left. Derek and my parents weren't speaking. Mom had moved in with her sister. Dad was alone in that big house with his legacy crumbling around him. I deleted the message. That night, Solana and I sat on the workshop floor, eating takeout and planning a collaboration. Guitars with her metal work inlays. Something entirely new, entirely ours. No ghosts? She asked, knowing my history. No ghosts? I confirmed. The workshop felt different now. Not like a sanctuary for my life, but like the center of it. The place where I built things that created music that brought joy that lasted. My phone lit up with an Instagram notification. Cousin Stephanie had tagged me in a post, a photo from that terrible family meeting with the caption. The day one man burned it all down rather than live a lie. The comments were brutal toward my family. I untagged myself, blocked Stephanie, and put the phone away. You good? Solana asked. Yeah. I said. And meant it. I'm good. The last guitar I'd made before everything exploded was still in the corner, waiting for finishing touches. I'd named it Liberation in my inventory. Tomorrow, I'd complete it. Tomorrow, I'd call Morrison about his commission. Tomorrow, I'd start teaching my first student, a kid from the neighborhood whose parents couldn't afford fancy lessons, but whose eyes lit up when he touched the guitars. But tonight, I sat in my workshop with someone who knew my story and chose to stay anyway. Someone who understood that sometimes burning bridges isn't about destruction. It's about making sure you can never go back to places that were poisoning you. The last text I ever got from Jennifer said, I hope someday you can forgive us. I never responded. Forgiveness wasn't mine to give. It was theirs to earn, and they'd shown no interest in earning anything, only in taking what they thought they deserved. I'd rather be alone with my truth than surrounded by their lies. And as it turned out, I wasn't alone at all. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.